I am good. This is a great day. Let's recap why this is a great day,
Oh,
Erin.
okay.
First off, it is Taylor Swift Red Day, so happy
Oh,
All Too
I'm so
Well
glad
Day
you're
to
bringing that
you.
up.
Yeah. Oh, yes. I just listened to it.
Did you?
Uh,
I haven't
the
yet. It's my
10-minute version.
treat. I'm waiting to do it.
It's like very emotional. It's
Is it? Is it amazing?
it is. Okay, so you and I both dabble in writing.
Mm-hmm.
You more so with fiction nowadays that in our old age than I do,
Hmm.
but I don't know how you write like without pulling any punches to that degree. Like
I agree.
she
I think she's a
just
lyrical genius. I really do.
whew, she unleashed it. She let
Hmm.
it out. And
She's just so
it's true.
good. It's so hard to write how you're feeling, and
Yeah, she like does not hold back.
she doesn't.
She's
And
just
I don't know how you be. I would be terrified to be that honest and put it
yeah.
out in the world.
I know. I know. Vulnerable is such an overused word in our culture now, but like truly,
Hmm.
how do you be that vulnerable that
Hmm.
publicly? I agree.
I was gonna say this is sort of just a tangent, but I I have loved Taylor Swift since I was 16 years old and playing
Hmm.
teardrops on my guitar over
Heck
and over and
yes.
over again.
Yeah.
And 1989 I thought was the pinnacle. And I didn't really
Yes.
want to listen to any albums after that because I
Hmm.
thought it's not gonna be as good. There's just no way.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
every album has been so good.
Hmm.
um she re-released her Fearless, and I thought, I
Yes.
don't really want to hear her just like re-sing all of her songs.
Hmm.
But the songs that she released, the new ones from the vault they're so good. They're
I know.
so
She's just
good.
so great. Yeah.
Yeah, she's just amazing.
Yeah, I know. It's great. The youth that I work with at my church that are now in college, they're like, OMG, 8-year-old me is freaking out. And I'm like, please stop. Like, don't talk to me. Like,
You're
you're
making
not the
me feel as
same.
old as the hills.
Yeah, I'm like, this is for me. This is for all of us
Hmm.
89ers.
Hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Happy Red Day to us all. I did go, I saw, this is so terrible. I saw online today that Starbucks is like running a promo where you can go and order like Taylor's latte. And
Mm.
so I did that today.
Did you? Was it good?
Yes. It's honestly, it is just a grande caramel non-fat latte. It's a totally normal thing that you can go and order. But
Hmm.
did I pull up to the window and say, "Do you have Taylor's version?" Yes, I did. I did it for the fandom.
That's wonderful. She's a great storyteller. She's a very
Hmm.
visual writer.
She
You know
is.
what she's
Yeah.
thinking, you know what she's wearing, what it looks outside. Like
Hmm.
she's very good at painting a picture. So,
Yeah.
so how was your week?
I finally got back into Pilates this week. I took like a month
Oh, how did it
off,
go?
so it's been good. It's nice to get back into it. I think I went like 3 times this week. So trying to get back in the swing of things and yeah, it's just I'm excited about today because it's Red Day and
I got
get
my
to
COVID
pray.
booster this week.
Yeah, that's right. How
Hmm.
was it? How'd it go?
It went fine. The next day, I felt a little run down.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, I just Um, I just wanted to go to sleep, and so that's kind of what I did. And the next day I felt
Hmm.
fine, and today the spot's been a little bit itchy, but
Yeah.
it was no big deal. So,
Nice.
yeah.
Sweet. Well, you were
And I
like
really
powered
wanted to get
up.
it before I went in to get LASIK
Mhm.
because
Oh
I
yeah.
won't be able to wear a mask during the
Yeah.
procedure. So I just want to
Oh,
make
that
sure
makes
I'm
sense.
fully protected.
Heyo. I'm so
Hmm.
excited. That's next Monday,
I'm so
right?
excited that I honestly am. It's turned into I'm terrified, so now I'm just trying not to think about it
There you
because
go.
I
I like
know
that.
I'll just spin out.
Yep. 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 Get it.
So just trying to sail through it.
Is it seeing things up close that you struggle with
I am
or
honestly
what
so
is it?
blind, I can't really see anything.
Yeah.
Um, I can only see things if they're about um 2 2 millimeters from my face. I mean,
Oh my
it's
gosh.
pretty bad.
Yay, and
So
just
it's
in
been a great
time.
week. Probably should say
Awesome.
welcome to Myths and Movies. 20 minutes
Yeah,
later.
welcome.
This is really
Right.
just like a catch up thing because we don't really talk on the phone that much.
We
So this is
don't.
a
I
catch up
know.
for us.
It really is. It's
A
our phone call
friendship
time.
catch up. That sounds
Yeah.
like a condiment.
Yeah. It does. It does. We text every day, but we don't talk on
Yeah.
the phone all that often. So yes, this is love.
Smiling mayonnaise. I'm trying to think of something.
Smiling mayonnaise. I love it. I know. I feel like it would definitely be next to like sprinkles and your baking goods, maybe.
Yes.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
it's very happy.
And Jess from New Girl would sprinkle it on all her cupcakes.
She would. We've all been
Okay, so today's myth is Pippi Longstocking.
Woo!
So she's not really a myth, but I think she is kind of a legend, just because she's so popular.
Mm-hmm.
And she's definitely fairy tale. Fairy tales are stories generally for kids about magical beings and monsters. So that fits with our show. Pippi's not necessarily presented as magic, but she's very, very strong, which I think there's some sort of magical ability happening there.
Definitely. Yeah.
Nobody can lift a horse over their head.
No. Yeah. Most of us cannot. I haven't tried, but I'm pretty sure I couldn't do that.
I definitely couldn't. So my sources here are the Cinema Journal, Jen Anderson's Astrid Lindgren, the woman behind Pippi, Wikipedia, of course, and then I also read the book and watched the 1969 movie, which is bonkers.
Is it a trip? I watched the first like half hour of that, I guess.
What do you think?
It was definitely a trip, and I think the English dubbing over it like adds an extra layer of weird.
I agree. I think it makes it somehow worse.
Yeah, and particularly everyone sounded fine except her friend's mom. Like whoever was doing that voice did not sound like a native English speaker to me.
Okay, so our first up, who is Pippi Longstocking? So she's a character in a children's book written by Astrid Lindgren. Her full name is Pipilota Delicatessa Windowshade Mackerel Mint Ephraim's daughter Longstocking, which is a mouthful.
Yeah, that's a long passport that she's got.
It is. She's 9 years old. She has long red hair plaited into pigtails, and they stick straight out. She has freckles on her nose, which is one of her key features. It's even featured in the theme song for the show. She wears ratty dresses and mismatched knee socks, and she has a pair of huge men's shoes, which are a pair that her father bought her in South America, and she refuses to take them off. Her mother is dead, and she's always talking about how her mother is an angel in heaven and that she's watching down, which is kind of sweet.
So sweet, yeah.
Her father is, okay, this is not too clear. In the book, it says that he's a ship captain, but in the movie, in the 1969 movie, which is written by Astrid Lindgren, she says he's a cannibal king.
Yeah, I know.
Which then they sort of just gloss over that, which is weird.
Well, and there's this whole scene. I feel like, and I haven't read the book since childhood, but in the movie that we watched, there's a scene where the other kids are like, "Oh, do you think your dad is dead?" And she's like, No. Like he's living his best life on a South Sea island, you know? And so there's some like, will we ever know what really happened to her dad? I don't think so. I think there's some intentional like freedom to fantasize, you know?
Yeah, agree. Yeah, pretty much everything about Pippi is fantastical. She gives in the book, whenever the little kids ask her a question, she has about 1 million answers, and they're always lies. And then she'll say, "Oh, well, I'm lying, but that's okay because why shouldn't I lie? It's fun to do."
I love it. Okay. She'd be great on Twitter. Can you imagine?
She would be great on Twitter. And Instagram, because she's got a pet monkey named Mr. Nielsen, and he would be great on Instagram.
He would.
She also has a pet horse. He has no name, but in the movie they called him the Old Man.
I love that. That's cute.
She lives by herself in a brightly painted house named Villa Villacuna, and she has a suitcase of gold coins. These gold coins make her the richest person in the small town where she lives and allow her to buy anything she likes. She has 2 main friends, Tommy and Annika. She's incredibly strong. She can lift a horse over her head without breaking a sweat. Wow. She's very outgoing and constantly cheerful. She's also inherently good. She gets into trouble, but she has such a sweet nature that she gets out of it. there's not really a plot in a traditional sense. She just sort of lurches from one adventure to another. There's a part where she makes pancakes and she
Ooh.
makes them with her broom, which I find disgusting.
Oh.
But she's
That's,
also 9 years old, so that would be
true.
like a logical thing to make with or
For
to
sure.
use.
Mm-hmm.
She also does the thing where she goes searching for things, and she calls herself a thing searcher.
I love that.
I know. And they go, they search for things, of course. And she's like, hurry, we have to do it before all the things are found. And they find her biggest treasure is when they find a rusty tin can. And she says, that could be a tin can for biscuits or a tin can not for biscuits. Okay.
Logical.
I know. Tommy doesn't think it's great. She tries to convince him how cool it is. Let's see. She also attends I was going to say a tea party, but you're right. It's a coffee party.
Yes.
She cleans her house. She takes back gold from these robbers who are constantly trying to steal her gold. The town she lives in is a small little Swedish hamlet. It has maybe like 2,000 people. And the only crime they have are 2 criminals. They're the only people that commit crime.
Oh, yes.
And so they just hang out in the prison, and then they escape, and then they try and steal her gold, which she, of course, takes back from them. Okay, what movie is she in? Astrid Lindgren has been very protective over Pippi, and she has not been in a lot of movies. She does not grant the rights very often. So there's one, which is the 1969 movie that we're talking about. That was written by Astrid Lindgren. It's probably the most faithful to her vision. There is another
that would make sense.
Yeah. There's a 1988 version with Tammy Aaron, and that is an American version. And Astrid Lindgren really doesn't like it. So.
Oh, interesting.
Yep. Oh, and I just totally lost my place.
That's okay. I while you were finding it, so to prepare for this, I did not do as much as you did, but I was trying to refresh on what version we would have known as children. And I was picturing Pippi Longstocking as a cartoon in my head. And there is a 1997 cartoon, TV show, and movie.
Oh, that's right. She doesn't like that one either.
Oh, she does? Okay, well, that was the one I would have known.
And there was Travers, and that she doesn't like other people writing about it.
So. I get that. I mean, whatever. That's her intellectual property. I would probably be protective over it too. I do remember I was Googling, different versions or editions of the book, and there's a 1988 cover that I did brought back all the memories. I distinctly remember it. I probably still have it somewhere. That would have been the version that definitely I read and probably we read as kids, just based on the time period. But it just gave me all the nostalgia to see that book cover.
If you're a fan of Gilmore Girls, you've heard of this movie. They watch it when they go to the Black, White, and Red Theater, which is such a great name for a movie theater. And Kirk says they can either watch that or a series of drunk driver videos. Is that what it is?
Okay, so this is interesting. You had mentioned that it's in a Gilmore Girls episode, so I Googled Gilmore Girls Pippi Longstocking, and it led me to season 5, episode 5.
Luke asks if it's a kid's movie, and Lorelai says no, it's definitely not. And Rory says it's a classic of surrealism. And Lorelai chimes in, and bizarre cinematography. And Rory says, and atonal singing and forced acting. And I think they really hit it on the nose. That is absolutely true. The music is so bad. It is so bad. The first few notes of the theme song are like da da, and then it goes into her thing. And I honestly thought it was some sort of a funeral dirge. I thought this is the beginning, and she's burying her horse.
Right? Oh my gosh! Wow.
It is so bad. I do like the little song though. Let's see if I can see. Okay. Freckles on her nose, diddle diddle dee. A girl came riding into town one day. Diddle diddle, she was quite a sight. It's Pippi Longstocking, hey ho ha he ho. It's Pippi Longstocking, there's no one like her.
Yay! I love it so much.
There are several more verses, but I'm not gonna do it because I don't want to.
Because that was beautiful. That's why. You can't add to perfection.
Yeah, I'm the next Taylor Swift over here for sure.
Yes.
If not Taylor Swift, Adele then.
Yeah. Apparently she also has some like concert on CBS tonight. So
yeah, I
go
heard
catch that.
Taylor moved up her album because Adele's was coming out, which I'm
Oh,
not sure if that's true, but I sort of love that.
I'm gonna go cry over that later. Friendship, women helping women. I love it. I'm a fan of both.
Totally. Okay, so the movie, it was developed and filmed in Sweden, and then it was bought by a German TV studio who dubbed in English voices.
Got it.
The singing is off key, and I kind of wonder if that it's meant to sound like little children's voices.
Yeah.
When they do the chorus, which that's sort of fine, but it's not great.
Sort of fun. That's the impression I got. It felt like it was supposed to be children singing.
Yeah.
Like playful and yeah. Cool.
Yeah, I did like that. If you had to ask me my favorite part, I would definitely say the music.
It's cute and
the
happy.
acting is just so bad. There's a lot of really like melodramatic moments. I've seen a lot of women clutching their face. Both hands on the cheeks, which I have never seen in real life. I don't think ever.
Right? Yeah.
There's a lot of looking at the camera.
Pre Jim Halpert, he was not around yet to teach us.
And Pippi, I don't know. There's a lot of times where she's just sort of staring off into space with a grin on her face. Did you notice that? Maybe you didn't get far enough, but I just found that sort of odd.
Very strange.
Yeah. So she lifts a horse over her head, and I wish I could explain why she does that. She's not helping the horse over a puddle. It's not a contest. She just does it
She just feels like it.
For fun. Yep. She stands up to bullies, which I love. She stops the robbers from taking her gold. Excellent. And she always gets the best of the adults. I think that's the main theme of the show. That's her thing, is to always get the best of adults.
Nice.
Okay. Yeah. So how was she created? She is a Swedish children's book. She was published in 1945 by Astrid Lindgren. Astrid wrote many books, often in a series. So she's sort of the Beverly Cleary of Sweden.
That's a great comparison. Yeah.
Yeah.
That tracks. I get it.
She has about a dozen other book series. Pippi is just one of many. Pippi has 3 books. There's one book it's about a master detective, and he's 13 years old, and in my head he's just Encyclopedia Brown.
Love it. Yes.
She wrote and developed the character in the 1930s, and before it was ultimately published in the 40s. Her daughter was sick in bed, and she wanted a bedtime story, and Astrid kind of said, okay, enough, go to bed. And her daughter, in a desperate attempt to keep her with her, she said, tell me a story about Pippi Longstocking. And she just made up the name on the spot.
That is so sweet.
It is really sweet. And what a great imagination to think of Pippi Longstocking.
Seriously. And I'll be really honest. I realize I'm probably living under a rock, but I did not realize that this was a Swedish thing until we were looking into this episode.
I agree. I don't think I knew she was Swedish either.
Yeah, I didn't know that as a kid, for sure.
Pippi, to me, is not really, well, if she was really Swedish, her name should be Bjorn or something, and she should be eating fish. That's totally, I don't know. Also, they don't make a big deal about her being Swedish.
Yeah. Okay. Can I take us on like a very short little sidetrack here?
Of course.
Which is simply to illuminate. So you and I both are fans of pop music and also like analysis of pop music, particularly you. And there was a Netflix show called, This Is Pop or something. And one episode was on the Swedish music industry, because Swedish producers are behind a lot of our pop music, and we as consumers have no idea. Yes. And they go back to like ABBA and the whole thing. But they talk a lot about in that episode that it is like very un-Swedish to brag about yourself or to brag about being Swedish or whatever. And like all of the musicians they interview are like, I'm really uncomfortable talking about myself or being Swedish or whatever. So maybe that's culturally also why. Maybe that came off in her books, or the approach that it's not like, we are Swedish,
Yeah, true.
Yes, who knows?
She was influenced by several children's books like Anne of Green Gables and Alice in Wonderland. I know you love Anne.
I do.
Big fan. Scholars also believe that she was influenced by two major activists, Bertrand Russell and A.S. Nell.
Hmm.
So I'm going to talk a little bit about Sweden. Sweden and basically most of the world. This was a time when children were very much seen and not heard.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Corporal punishment was the accepted method for punishment in school and at home. It was the thought that kids needed to be educated and that educated had to be pounded into them so that
Mm-hmm.
they could become good and productive citizens.
Mm.
A.S. Nell, he was a British educator who had, oh, I'm sorry, he was Scottish.
Ooh.
Very, very big difference. Um, he founded a school for delinquents, and he believed that children are inherently good, and if adults just left them alone, they would find the right path all by themselves.
Mm.
And he said that kids should be taught critical thinking, not
Mm-hmm.
rote lessons. He wanted kids to be interested in what they were learning, to follow their own instincts. He said the aim of life is to find happiness, which is to find interest. So
Interesting.
Pippi, she is pretty much the embodiment of this. She's completely self-governed. She has no parents around, and she makes all of her decisions. She
Mm-hmm.
doesn't go to school because she's not really interested in multiplication. She would rather find things or play with her horse.
Mm-hmm.
She doesn't want to know geography. She's more interested in fun.
Yeah.
She never goes for social conventions. She wears her hair how she pleases. There's one part in, I think, the second book where there's a sign in the window and it says, in a store, and it says, "Are you suffering from freckles?" And of course, Pippi walks in and she says, "I'm not suffering from freckles. I like them."
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, she has a abundance of self-confidence. Um,
Mm-hmm.
she also does things how they make sense to her. So, for instance, when she's cleaning her house, she
Mm-hmm.
puts two scrub brushes on her feet and she skates around the house and cleans it that way.
Nice.
Um, yeah, which I think is not the worst thing I've ever heard.
Right. You
You
do
know,
you.
let's see. Then, while she's a bit wild, she also has a personal philosophy that was influenced by the other activist I mentioned, Bertrand Russell. He was
Mm-hmm.
a pacifist, and he preached pacifism, obviously.
Mm.
Um, and we can really see that directed in Pippi. She has enormous strength.
Mm-hmm.
More, she's stronger than 10 men, but she never ever hurts anybody. She always stands up to bullies. There's a part in the first book where she goes to the circus and she battles the strong man, and the strong man, his name is Adolf because it's a German circus,
Oh yeah.
and she battles him and she wins. And so that's
Nice.
sort of an obvious nod to the German leader at the time, because it was developed in the 30s, and it's just such a great
Mm.
image, a little girl in braids standing up to one of the scariest figures in history.
Yeah. Kind
Yeah,
of a David and Goliath type thing going on,
yeah. The
you
more
know?
I read about Pippi, I actually really like. The books are kind of weird, but she's such a
Yeah.
great. I just really love what she represents. So
Agreed.
Pippi, how was she received? Pippi is hugely popular. She sold 300,000 copies for the first book, and that sold in its first year, and it single-handedly saved the publishing house
Hmm.
that it was first published with. There's 3 books total in the series. There's almost 70 million books were sold total about Pippi. So
Hmm.
that's on par with the Magic School Bus, Winnie the
Yeah.
Pooh, and other books like Jack Reacher. So that's absolutely huge. Almost every English speaking child knows her name, even if they haven't read her books, and she's
Mm-hmm.
always on the list for best heroines. So while all this is great, after when she first came out, a lot of critics thought she was great because she was so popular. But then, of course,
Mm-hmm.
there was always like one, you know, cranky guy that's got to ruin it.
Sure.
He was a well respected professor, and he argued that Pippi was mentally disturbed
Oh, don't put that
and that
on
the book
our
was
girl Pip.
harmful to children.
Oh,
I know.
that's so mean.
Well, I can kind of see I can kind of see his point. I mean, she
Mm-hmm.
sleeps with her feet on the pillow, she blows her nose on her dress, and she dances on church pews. She
Right, right.
mocks the stuffy things adults do.
Mm-hmm.
So I can kind of see where he's getting that, but I don't think like mentally disturbed is a
It's a
reach.
stretch.
Pippi is sort of what you would do if your imagination came to life. Like you would
Yeah.
do all of the things that you're not supposed to do.
Mm-hmm.
All the times your parent told you to sit quietly and, be
Mm-hmm.
a good little girl.
Right. I know. Well, there's that scene in the movie where she's at the coffee party and she's just doing everything wrong. Like she serves herself first, she takes multiples of everything, she sticks her fingers in the
Hmm.
cake, she picks her nose, and all the ladies are like,
Hmm.
Pippi, you're not supposed to do any of that. And she's like, why? Like, I don't understand. So, yeah, she
Hmm.
is just so independent of all of our social norms.
She's not
Hmm.
rude about it. She's not doing it
No.
to be a little stinker. She just this is what she feels like doing, so she's going to be doing that.
Yeah.
So everything she does is for a reason. She's not just wildly dumping buckets of water on her head or pulling her horse's tail. She's not I don't see her as a wild child.
Mm-mm.
She's just honestly she's just trying to have fun. Everything she
Mhm.
does has a reason. She's taught herself how to cook, and of course, when you're making a lot of pancake batter, if you didn't know better, why wouldn't you use a broom? Makes sense.
Right? Yeah.
I think what the professor's really worried about is conformity. Now,
Hmm.
every time there's something new that comes out, there's always a big backlash to it, like, oh, we're moving too far in the wrong direction.
Hmm.
And I don't think that society is capable of moving that fast.
Things push it forward, but not like typically, usually not to a crazy extreme. And that's how you keep moving forward is like something pushes you a little bit outside of your comfort level each time, like a child that picks her nose at a party, or
Hmm.
something. She's
Yeah.
just a little bit outside of social norms. And like you said, she's not causing any harm. She's not doing anything with, malicious intent. She's just being a little kid. If a little kid was raised outside of all of these sort of social standards.
Yeah. I totally agree. What did Astrid say? We want to know what she said. Well,
Yeah.
she never publicly responded to these criticisms, so we just kind of have to cobble together what she means.
Hmm.
She said that her philosophy behind the book was based on observations. For example, her apartment looked out onto the park, and so she would see parents browbeating their children, and she found herself getting really upset. She would take the side of the child, even
Hmm.
though she was a parent herself. So she thought, Pippi, she'll stand up to the parent. Like she thought that would be a great thing. And then she later said, give the children love, and still more love, and the common sense will come by itself. Yeah, I like that. She gave a speech in the 70s when she was accepting the German Peace Prize for
Hmm.
literature. So she gives, and this is kind of a speech about pacifists. So this is a quote from her. When I was about 20 years old, I met an old pastor's wife who told me that when she was young and had her first child, she didn't believe in striking children, although spanking kids with a switch pulled from a tree was standard punishment at the time. But one day, when her son was 4 or 5, he did something that she felt warranted a spanking, the first in his life. She told him that he would have to go outside himself and find a switch for her to hit him with. The
Hmm.
boy was gone a long time, and when he came back, he was crying. He said to her,
Oh.
Mama, I couldn't find a switch, but here's a rock that you can throw at me.
Oh my
I know.
gosh.
All of a sudden,
That's
the mother understood how the situation felt from the child's point of view. That if my mother wants to hurt me, then it makes no difference what she does it with. She might as well do it with a stone.
hmm.
And the mother took the boy into her lap and they both cried. And she
Oh.
laid the rock on a shelf in the kitchen to remind herself, never violence. And
Mm.
that is something I think everyone should keep in mind because if
Hmm.
violence begins in the nursery, one can raise children into violence.
Yeah.
So that
Yeah.
story is devastating.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
I mean,
Wow.
I was spanked as a child. I think I was
Hmm.
spanked once and
Yeah.
I was so embarrassed. I just remember,
Hmm.
yeah, it was definitely humiliating. But I don't think it never ever happened again.
Yeah,
And
me too.
I don't want to say that I'm pro spanking, but I think sometimes I guess I am for spanking if it's used very judiciously.
Hmm.
Um, I think I heard once there's an example of a kid who runs out into the street and then, how do you punish him appropriately? Like a spanking would be appropriate because it's such a bad thing. It's such a scary thing. He can absolutely never ever do that again. And so a spanking is a good way to stop that. So I guess me and Astrid wouldn't get along, but I just feel I agree with her in that you really should talk to your kids. I think that's great. That's what my
Oh,
parents
yeah,
did.
totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My mom
Yeah.
always jokes that she talked so much to me that I would just do what she wanted because I was tired of her talking.
That's funny. It's a good self
And
burn.
yeah. And then Astrid also said in the speech that many parents will no doubt be worried by these new trends, and may start to wonder if they have done wrong, if an anti-authoritarian upbringing is reprehensible. But it is only reprehensible if it is misunderstood. An anti-authoritarian upbringing does not mean that children should be left to drift along and do whatever they please. It does not mean that they should grow up without a set of norms, nor do they want to. Both children and adults need a set of norms as a framework within which to conduct themselves, and children learn more from the example of their parents than anything else. Of course, children should respect their parents, but make no mistake about it. Adults should also have respect for their children and not misuse the natural advantages they have over them. What one would like to see in all parents and children is mutual loving respect. So I totally agree with that. I think
do too.
that that was a radical statement in the 40s, and it was also a radical statement when she gave it, which in the 70s. Because it was, again, that very rigid, we have to essentially beat this into them. Children have to know. So that's a very big deal for her to say there should be mutual respect between adults and children. I think that's sort of attachment parenting now. See, what do children feel about Pippi? Because that's really what we want to know. Is this commentator right? Or sorry, professor, is he right that she's wild and a bad influence? Are kids going to run out and become just like Pippi? So kids have been asked by psychologists what they like about Pippi and who they like best in the story. And they almost always relate to Annika and Tommy. They condemn Pippi's behavior. They don't want to be Pippi. They want to go on her adventures. They want to be her friend, but they do not want to be her. They also learn through the reactions of Annika and Tommy what is appropriate. And we can see that in the 1969 movie when they're at the coffee party. So kids who read Pippi, so Pippi's about 9. So kids who read her adventures, they're about 6 to 10. And that's the stage in child development where kids are learning to look outside of themselves. They're becoming a little less interested in the self and more interested in other people. They begin to relate to other people and they can see their perspective. So Pippi is actually a great model for that. They can ask themselves what they like about her, what they don't like about her behavior. And then they also see Annika and Tommy, and they can read their reactions and figure out what the appropriate norm is in the situation. So Annika and Tommy, they really don't like it when she's eats all the food at the coffee party. And you can just read that on their faces. They kind of think she ate all of the cream cake and I wanted some.
Yeah.
And I think as a child, you would sort of think, oh, okay, that's not good. I mean, that's how kids, that's how adults, they relate. They see things and they sort of figure out, we're social animals and we figure out how people relate to each other and how to be successful doing that.
Yeah, or like think about how many fellow little kids' birthdays you went to, like birthday parties you go to when you're a child and you're still young enough that all the moms are still there or whatever. And that's like you're receiving training without knowing that that's what's taking place in social norms and how to behave in social settings.
I agree. So why is she so popular? Well, first, she thrives even though she does the opposite of what adults say to do. That's a really appealing to a child. Kids have very little power, and so adults are always telling them what to do. And I think it's thrilling to hear a child stand up to an adult. I was a really shy child. Like, it would have never occurred to me to even talk back. So Pippi probably would have been the thing that I read under my bed with a flashlight. Like,
Totally.
here's this little girl and she talks back to adults and oh wow, like what's gonna happen next? That would have been really thrilling for me. I had a very sheltered life
Same. Yeah.
There's a part where Pippi says she tells Tommy that she doesn't have a parent living with her, and Annika asks who tells her to go to bed. I do
Mhm.
that myself, said Pippi. First, I tell myself once, very nicely, and then if I don't obey, I tell myself again, quite crossly. And if I still don't obey, well, then there's trouble, I can tell you. I just
I
kind of
love
love
it.
that because
I need that now. I'm an insomniac, so I'm bad about going to bed.
Mhm. So she stimulates the imagination of children by doing this, but she also always comes back to reality, which is what kids need. So she'll tell
Mhm.
maybe some lies or something, but she always comes back to reality. And you can sort of see the reaction of Tommy and Annika. They're not really happy when she lies. Um, Another reason why she's so popular, I think, is because she has unwavering confidence in herself. When you're an uncertain kid, I was a very shy child, and
Mhm.
to see someone who just had like oodles and oodles of confidence, I think I would have just eaten that up with a spoon.
Mhm.
Um, she also has these outsized mannerisms. If you see somebody wearing a mismatched socks and men's shoes, you're probably not going to want to do that as yourself as a child, but it gives you permission to act in the way that you want to by
Mhm.
because you can do the small thing that you want to, and it's a small in relation to what she does. So, also, she's powerful. Astrid Lindgren herself said that Pippi represents my own childish longing for a person who has power but does not abuse it.
Hmm.
So I just love that. I browsed around to see other children's books, and not a lot of them have power really. I think Matilda, she has power.
Mhm.
That's kind of it. I mean, there's Harry Potter and he has magic, but that magic is very strictly controlled. So Harry doesn't really have power over any other adults.
Mhm.
Um, Pretty much all of the books, the ones that were really popular about female heroines, they went on a mission, like they went on an adventure
Right.
and they had to rely on their own wiles, that's an important message because most of us don't have the ability to lift as Lorelai says, an enormous quadruped above her head.
I love Lorelai so much. I love her.
Yeah, so but Pippi really stands out in that way, unless I just did not find the right books. Um,
Oh.
she stands up to bullies and adults in a world where children have very little power. She has a sense of justice. She
Mhm.
refuses to quit. If
Mhm.
someone is abusing a child, like she has a very strong moral code.
Mhm. Yeah.
So who is she inspired? Well, the obvious answer is the girl with the dragon tattoo. Have you read that?
I haven't actually. I've never
Oh
read
my
that.
gosh, it's so so good. I don't know. Are you a thriller person? I don't.
I mean, I don't
Mm.
know. I don't know. I'd have to.
Based on what I know about you, I don't think you would like it.
I know. I'm kind of a wimp when it comes to stuff
No,
like that.
it's very, very dark.
Uh-huh.
I think it's also I've heard it called Swedish noir. It's
Oh, that's interesting.
I hope I'm pronouncing noir correctly.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Very dark. The themes are really dark. Some of the stuff that happens in it's really dark. Um,
Yeah. I like political thrillers where there's like
mhm.
intrigue.
It follows Elizabeth Satlander,
Mhm.
who is a computer hacking genius, and she helps this guy, Mikhail Blomquist.
Love
I
it.
know. I love I can't explain why. That sounds so dark to be like I love these books, but
No, they were super popular. Like a lot of people love them.
the main character is just so amazing because she has her own code of ethics, just like
Hmm.
Pippi. Um, but I just love that the bad guy really gets his ass kicked
Yeah.
by she's tiny. She's probably 5 feet and 90 pounds.
Hmm.
And she figures out how to use a taser and she just manages to kick the crap out of these guys. It's just
Hmm.
amazing. And so the author, he loves Astrid Lindgren.
Hmm.
And so the main character is named Mikhail Bloomquist, but he's
Hmm.
often teased as Kalle Bloomquist, which is one of the name of the characters in one of her series.
Oh,
And he plays a similar function in the books. He's a master detective.
interesting.
Lisbeth, she's not gregarious like Pippi. Or he said that Lisbeth is what Pippi would be like grown up, but I don't think
Oh,
so.
disagree.
Um,
Yeah.
Yeah, Pippi is charming. She loves people. Elizabeth does not. She does not care for people because
Hmm.
they've been kind of terrible to her.
Right. Fair.
Um, yeah, so Elizabeth, she in her own way has a Pippi like power in that she has great brain power. She's incredibly smart.
Hmm.
Um, she also, okay, so spoiler alert, you're not going to read this, but our
No.
listeners might. She manages to hack a gangster's private accounts and she steals $100 million.
Nice.
So that makes her have her own pot of gold, just like Pippi.
There you go.
Yeah. So Matilda, she's another example. She
Hmm.
too has incredible brain power, and
Yes.
that gives her enormous strength and power. But
Hmm.
like Pippi, she never abuses it. She never scares people with it.
Hmm.
She doesn't play the lottery or anything. She helps a beloved teacher, and she fights the bully. So
Yeah.
I think that's Pippi's lasting legacy. She inspires more books. She inspires children all over the world to stand up for themselves, to dream about what they can do when they become a little bit taller. I also love that Pippi, she's a feminist, but there's no sort of moment of you can't do it because you're a girl. And then she
Right.
says something about girls can do everything too. She's just treated as just an awesome character, and there's no mention of her being a girl or being less than in any way. She's just automatically accepted, which
Yeah.
is what that should be.
She is who she is.
She
Yeah.
is. She's
Love
badass.
it.
And I wasn't really that big of a fan of Pippi because I didn't know
Hmm.
that much about her. Just that weird scene in Gilmore Girls. But after researching all this, I'm pro Pippi. Pippi's
Right.
great.
Well, and in that episode, Luke also becomes a Pippi fan or stan, as the kids say
Does
now. The
he?
name of the episode is like we have ourselves a Pippi version,
Yes.
which is what they call Luke because he has never seen it. And at the end, he's very upset that Rory is back with Dean because he thinks Dean isn't good enough for her. And at
Oh,
the end,
that's right.
he's arguing with Lorelai, and he's like, Dean isn't good. He's like, Rory is a Pippi, and kind of listing all these things like you just said. She's very smart. She's independent. She can do whatever she wants. And Lorelai is kind of arguing, okay, but she's an adult. She's free to make her own choices. And she's like, well, if you don't think Dean's good enough for her, who is? And he's like, I don't know, a prince, but like the one in line to be the king, not the one waiting for his brother to die. I love it.
I love Luke so
He's
much.
so great.
You know, um I'm so eloquent when my face isn't next to a microphone. It's something about the microphone and
You're
I'm on
very
the
eloquent.
spot and I no longer know my own thoughts. Um I just love Luke. I just love how steady he is, that he always helps Lorelai out no matter what.
Hmm.
And Christopher bugs me because I think that he thinks that he's entitled to
Mm.
Lorelai and Rory.
As I said in our last episode, apparently this comes
Hmm.
up for me. I'm not team Logan or Dean or Jess. I am team Luke all the way, which obviously he's not a suitor of Rory's, so he's not in that category that people are typically talking about. But I
Yeah,
don't care.
but
I think Luke is the best guy on the show, and I
I
refuse to
agree.
acknowledge anyone else. So, yeah,
I agree. Well,
that's how I
Kirk is
feel.
pretty awesome too.
Yeah,
I was
that
watching
is
the
true.
episode where he loses all those Easter eggs.
Yeah.
Kirk, I love
So
you.
good.
You're so weird. He's true to himself. There we go. It's hard to.
Hmm.
I love that he got a girlfriend, Lulu. What were you gonna say?
Maybe Kirk is the real Pippi,
Maybe he does have a pot of gold. He has like $250,000 in his. I'm really
I
obsessed with this pot of gold. Like
forgot.
you can't
Right.
be a true Pippi without a pot of gold. Maybe you watch the new series.
Yes, I
What do you
did.
think?
Um, okay, so I was working as a journalist at the time that came out, and like falling asleep during an interview is just like not something you would ever do. Like it just wouldn't happen.
Mm,
Um, and then, she also got criticism, again, spoilers if you haven't watched it, but whatever, it's been out for like 5 years. Um, she also got criticism for like sleeping with a source, which obviously, yes, that's a big journalism no-no. That at least I can see that happening in the scheme of things
hmm
in the realm of reality, but falling asleep during an interview, I have a really hard time picturing that.
I really thought Emily shone in that. I thought that
Mm-hmm.
they gave
Mm-hmm.
her character a great arc. I love that she stood up to the ladies of the DAR and that she was just over it. I thought that
Yeah.
was great. I love that she finally sort of told Lorelai off when she
Yes.
says, what have we ever done to you that you
Mm-hmm.
are so mad at us? What have we ever done
Yes.
besides support you and love you,
Mm-hmm.
support Rory and love her? What have we done? And I
Mm-hmm.
thought that was a great point
Yeah. Yeah.
because Emily has definitely pulled some stunts, but
Mm-hmm.
Lorelai can be almost pathological about her parents.
I know, it's so true.
As
Yeah.
a kid, you think Lorelai is great because
Mm-hmm.
she's beautiful, she's fun, she has the best
Mm-hmm.
zingers. You think she's so
Yeah.
great, and then you kind of think, oh well, she's got some problems. But it's
Right.
good to have
Oh,
complicated
yeah.
characters on
Oh,
the
yeah,
show. I
for
kind
sure.
of love that Rory fell apart because I
Mm-hmm.
think that's accurate. I think people
Mm-hmm.
sort of flail for a while, and that's
Oh,
okay.
yeah.
I remember because I saw Gilmore Girls as a teenager, so I
Mm-hmm.
thought, oh, well, everyone will find Dean and then they'll find a Jess, and then that absolutely does not happen.
That arc of, we all know that I'm a big Jane Austen fan, and I feel that way about Austen novels too, and that there's kind of always like a trio of men. There's like
Mhm.
the guy you're super into first that you should not be into, that's super bad for you. And then there's usually like a guy that's chasing you that you think is gross and you're not into. And then there's the right guy, but it like
Mhm.
always comes in threes. And I think I thought the same thing as a, high schooler growing up, that, oh, well, you'll go through these like you have to go through these pre-phases to get to the person that you really are going to be with.
Mhm. Well,
Mm.
I watched Grease religiously as a small child, probably when I
Mhm.
was 8.
Mhm.
I would go over to my friend's for a sleepover, and her older sister would let us watch Grease with her
Mhm.
because she had a TV in her room. So that was very, very exotic.
Yes.
I think I've seen Grease maybe 50 times, if not more.
Amazing.
And so I
Mhm.
thought that was what high school was.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It is not.
Mhm.
Oh, this is really random, but on the topic of being who you are, I want
Mhm.
to just say on the record that I love shiny, sparkly things.
Yes.
Okay, for years I have pretended that I don't because I remember I went through a period when I was about 10 that I wanted everyone to call me EJ,
Yeah.
and I did not want to be girly in any sense of the,
Uh-huh.
thing. And then I went through another phase when I was like 16 where I
Mhm.
thought I was going to marry a Kennedy. I thought that would be a great life plan.
Ooh. Taylor
And so
also thought that,
yeah, but
as we
she
saw.
actually dated a
Very cool.
Kennedy. So
I
there's a
know.
very big difference. So I wanted to be very waspy. So I
Yes.
would dress as classy as I could think, and I would wear like
Mhm.
cardigans and stuff, and
Mhm.
no loud colors on my nails because that wasn't classy and
Right.
whatever. And so now I've just kind of embraced the fact that I love really sparkly nail polish.
I love
Um,
that. I love
I
it.
found a bunch of stuff at Walmart, like really
Mhm.
metallic and sparkly
Mhm.
stuff, and I've just been putting it over like regular colors, and I just
Mhm.
love it. It makes me so happy inside.
You know what? Yes, I agree with you. Be who you are. Celebrate
Mhm.
what you like. If it's,
Yeah,
to your point, something that's
I
not
don't care
causing
that
harm
my
to others. Yes. And I do think that my coworker and I were talking about this. She was like, millennials are not okay, like post pandemic. But I
yeah.
think for a lot of us, we returned to things that we loved in childhood, maybe as a coping mechanism. I don't know. But like, I too bought a lot of shimmery, sparkly nail polishes
Isn't
because
it great?
those were the things when we were kids and we loved them. I mean, we are the generation of like body glitter and
Oh,
butterfly clips. Like, thank you.
yes.
I'm here. I'm
Yes.
proud.
Oh,
And I mean, my kingdom for metallic blue nail polish. Like, I would give
totally.
anything.
I am wearing metallic, um, teal,
Ooh.
shimmery polish. It is called Mermaid Magic.
Ooh, mermaid.
I
I love it.
love it. I might
I
put
love
some
it.
more sparkles on it just to make it really, really sparkly.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, thank you for affirming my identity. I love that.
Yes. I
Okay.
stay
Oh, I
here.
probably should have said this a while ago, but that was Pippi Longstocking.
Yeah.
Yay.
Yay. Fix it
Did
in
you
post.
enjoy that at all? I feel like I'm talking a lot.
Oh.
And I don't mean to be lecturing you. I'm just sort of trying to tell you all the things I found.
I love it. I love it.
I don't know.
Edit that out.
Oh,
I was
no,
like
that's
not
okay.
getting it.
I think I'm probably going to edit most of this nonsense out. Here's a lot about Taylor Swift and how much I love her.
We do love her.
I really do think so. Okay, I have the next episode. The next episode is going to be a Wendigo, which is a Native American myth, and it's featured in Stephen King's Pet Sematary.
Oh.
And apparently, it has been culturally misappropriated from Native Americans. So
probably so.
Oh boy, it might be controversial up in here, but I'm gonna do my very best.
I was gonna say I don't know anything about that, so
I have never ever heard of that. And
I haven't either.
I am not a big Stephen King fan. I love The Shining. I think The Shining is amazing. I read it all the time, and it's such a good scary book. I hated the movie because I thought Jack Nicholson looked like he was insane. He
Isn't
looked
that the
like
point?
Yeah, no, it's not. Stephen King said this very well. He said the Shining is about a man named Jack Torrance, who is a man who gradually goes insane. And then he said the movie is about Jack Nicholson being insane the whole time.
I love that.
Because the book is like his descent into madness, but the movie you're like the madness is bubbling and I can see it. And I just didn't like the Here's Johnny thing. I thought that was it just seemed really fakey to me.
Yeah.
So Pet Sematary is well, I probably shouldn't go on into this, but I'm gonna cut it anyway. So
that's fine.
One of the spirits that haunts this local Indian burial ground, that's the Pet Cemetery, and the thing that haunts it is a Wendigo. And so yeah, but it's like an ancient also we're going to be talking about cannibals because that's what the Wendigo does. It's a cannibalistic spirit. So sorry.
So can I make some Kesha references though, is what I'm hearing?
Like, does Kesha talk about cannibalism?
She has a song about being a cannibal, right?
Oh.
Kesha.
I just remember that one that's like TikTok or something.
I'll pull a Jeffrey Dahmer. I am a cannibal. Let's see.
My.
Hold
Kesha.
on. I'm Googling the lyrics right now. Let's see. I get so hungry when you say you love me. Let's see.
Have a Pop-Tart, Kesha. Don't eat people.
If I may. She says, but now that I'm famous, you're up my Amos. Now I'm going to eat you, fool. I love her. So funny. Okay, I eat boys up, breakfast and lunch. Then when I'm thirsty, I drink their blood. Carnivore animal, I am a cannibal. I eat boys up, you better run. I am a cannibal. I vaguely remember this. I'll have to play it later.
This is amazing.
It's definitely on. Oh, that's the name of the album. I was going to say it's on the album that came out when we were in college.
Okay, well, I'm going to end this call.
All right. This was so fun.
So much fun.
Me too.
Okay. Bye. Hello. That has been our episode for this week. Thank you so much, lovely listeners, for spending this time with us. We really appreciate your support. If you want to show your support for the show, we have a Patreon at Missin' Movies. Go ahead and check that out. We have lots of different features like bonus episodes, uncut episodes, early access to episodes. So go ahead and check that out. If you don't want to support us on Patreon, which we totally understand, the other best way to support us is always listen and give us a 5-star review. We'd really appreciate it. And we'll see you back next time. Thanks again, listeners. Bye-bye.